Scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Those poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you on?
Hey guys, huge news. We have a really special guest on today. We're really excited. We're really honored to have her here. We loved her performance in White Lotus, season 1 and season 2. Everybody, please welcome Jennifer Coolidge.
Woo!
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I'm so happy to be here. Wow. I've always wanted to be on Remarks. I've always loved anti-capitalism.
What, Jennifer, what would you say is your biggest, the biggest or most impactful role you've played?
I would say probably my role in Best in Show. I loved that movie. And I just love dogs. So it was a really good time.
Oh, that was good. I did not know. Fun behind the scenes, listener. I don't ever know what Phoebe's going to say to intro the show.
Yeah, I just put it out there.
Yeah, and so I'm with y'all every time hearing it. I'm just like, where is this going?
And you always do such a good job just riffing along.
I try.
It's great. We're riffing together. We're good at riffing
True,
together.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We match each other's freak, as the kids
we do,
say.
Yeah. Anyway, I gotta go, but have a good podcast and fuck Trump. Thanks, Jennifer.
Oh, her. Yeah. Woo! Dude, life is a motherfucking highway.
And truly we have no choice but to ride it all night long.
Yeah, there's really, it does sound like in the song, he's like, I'm making the decision to ride this highway all night long, but what else are you going to do?
Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
You could pull off the highway, but if life is the highway, is the truck stop death?
I guess when you stop moving.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or is that stagnation?
Maybe it's stagnation, yeah. And presumably most highways, at least the highways I assume he's talking about, don't have side roads. It's not in the middle of a city.
Right, yeah. It's
your 2-lane highway.
Out in the country.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Kind of deep, Rascal Flats.
Super
Is that
deep.
Rascal Flats?
It is, yeah. Okay. Cars 2, I believe, specifically. Yes. Well, I think actually just Cars 1, but...
I think it is Cars 1.
But,
Cars, the original.
The original.
Rascal Flats.
And what a film, Cars and or Cars 2.
Yep. Is Cars 2 the one where he crashes?
I think
at the beginning?
So.
No, maybe I did watch that one. I can't remember. It's been so long.
I feel like Cars 2, it's been so long for me as well, but I feel like it has a strange plot.
I think it did, because I feel like I remember watching it not that long ago. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is kind of weird. I remember being, yeah.
You know what else has a weird plot, surprisingly? Just random kid movies that have strange plots.
Hit me.
Santa Claus 2. The one where he's trying to find the Mrs. Claus. And then he makes a toy dictator that takes over the North Pole.
What?
And is literally in one part of it is wearing what can only be interpreted as child friendly not a Nazi military uniform.
Oh my god.
I swear to God.
Wait,
dude.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah. Santa Claus 2 Toy Santa military uniform, I guess, was what you would search.
Let's see.
Maybe vaguely Soviet Union.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, kind of very Soviet Union looking.
Yeah, he becomes a dictator of the North Pole.
Wow, that's so odd.
Yeah. We watched that during Christmas time, and I was like, what the fuck? What a weird side plot to this, Tim Allen trying to find a bride.
Right,
plot
and
line.
It's supposed to be super wholesome.
Yeah.
Weird. They're hey kids, watch out for fascism.
Yeah, fascism, it comes quick.
Yeah.
Autocratic, dictators.
Fascism comes at you fast.
True. Blink one day and you're there.
And all of a sudden,
we would know.
Your country is on a highway, on a speed train.
Our life is that highway.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Y'all, I got a puppy.
Yeah.
His name is Charleston Chew. Charlie, or Chuck for short.
Chuck.
I've been kind of calling him Chuck a few, like, here
That's
and there.
really cute.
Although we are, I mean, mostly it's Charleston because we are trying to get him to, like, know his name.
I know. It's like once they know their name, then you can call them whatever the fuck you want. But yeah, you gotta get that
sound.
A ch sound, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, he is very cute. He is crazy because he's
so cute.
10. I think he's like 11 weeks old, so he's very small.
Tiny.
But he is very adorable.
He's so cute. I have not met him in person yet because they just got him on Saturday. But yeah, I'm gonna meet him this week at some point.
And I can't wait for him and famous podcast dog Siobhan to be best friends.
They're gonna party together. I cannot wait.
When we all like go out of town to Mexico or something, they're gonna throw a house party here.
Yes.
And Shiv's gonna be like, "Oh, my mom's out of town." You know?
Right, yeah. Shiv's gonna get a keg. Charleston brings the blunts.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, all their little dog friends are gonna come and like trash the house. And then we're like, "Oh, guys, we actually had to come home early from Mexico because of, I don't know, something. Reasons. And they're like, fuck. And then they have to like, with like music montage, clean up the house like really fast. And then they like bond as siblings because maybe they like weren't getting along super well before. And then by the end, they're like best friends and they give each other like a little wink and a nod.
And there's like a tense part where there's like writing on the wall or something that they missed, and we like walk in, but then we like look the other way, and like one of them like hangs a mirror or something, and they're like, and then they're like, yeah, give the wink, and they're like, whoa, that was close. Yeah, no, I see it now. I think it's beautiful.
They're like buddy movie. They're like
it's true.
sibling friendship movie.
It's a real coming of age tale.
It is. Yeah, throwing a party while your parents are out of town.
Yeah,
I've never done that. Never. I would never.
I actually don't think I ever have.
I've never had like a fucking rager. I've definitely like, my parents went out of town and like had a bunch of friends over, but also like I think they kind of knew.
Yeah, I don't know
that I would have done that anyway, and we didn't do anything crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't have like enough. Nobody knew. I was not popular or liked in high school, so like nobody would have even come to my. If I was like, I'm not having a fucking party. Like, who the fuck is gonna come?
Yeah.
No one. So it was just like me and my little shitty friends, and then we like sat around and like drank whatever we could find in the liquor cabinet, and that was the version of my party. And then we were like, well, good night, bye everyone, and it was really chill.
Yeah. Even then, I don't even know if I like drank a whole bunch, but because it's like when they would go out of town, I'd be like, okay, well, I'll have like the friends I have every other weekend over.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's not, I don't know.
Yeah, I was not that wild in my youth.
Yeah,
I'm like wild. I'm crazy now.
I'm more crazy.
I'm doing way crazier shit than I ever did in my youth now. Nothing illegal that I would ever, but like I'm follow the law to the T, but
obviously. Yeah,
I'm like way more, I just think my life is more fun, and I have like better, more like fun people in my life too that I can do fun things with, you know? And I feel like I also was so scared of things when I was younger, and I'm like weirdly, well, I'm like I'm not risk averse, but I'm like less risk averse than I was when I was younger, because I think I can like, I get it now. Like I'm like, oh, I can see the limitations of like what's where I could push it a little bit, and like I'll still be okay.
No, I agree. Also, I don't think that we peaked in high school.
Bingo, right?
I think that's like we've just gotten cooler since.
I'm literally the hottest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah,
I think.
Same.
I was like looking at a photo of, this sounds so conceited. I was looking, no, it doesn't. It sounds confident. You know what? Women are allowed to like the way they look. Anyway.
True.
I had to like just yell at my inner.
You had to like rein it in.
I had to yell at my inner, like whatever that was. I was looking at a photo of myself the other day, and I was like, I look fucking good. And I was like, you know what? I think this is going to be like my hottest, like physically myself, hottest summer yet.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I'm just looking so good. I think
Truly.
30s is like the hottest I've ever been in my life.
I feel like I've heard that like most people like peak in their 30s, which makes sense, because I feel like when you're like even into your like early 20s, 30 is just such an ethereal concept that like you see someone 30. I mean, I guess maybe not always. There are some people out there that do like the older relationships, but
we won't name names.
But like I feel like for myself, like when I would see people in their 30s when I was like 22 or something,
you're like, that's a grown up.
I was like, that's a grown up.
Yeah.
And I like wasn't like looking at them as like, oh, this is like a hot person, you know, like this is a grown up, right?
Yeah, like that's not somebody that I could like potentially be with, or whatever.
But now as I'm approaching 30, I'm like, you know what? Actually, it feels good to be like I feel like I look the best. Same here. I feel like
amazing.
I look the best I've ever looked. Yeah.
My thing is too is like I feel like I've figured out my skincare routine, which has made a massive difference. I feel like
your hair is always on point.
Thank you. I just feel like I've like figured out my little like what I want to look like, my style, my everything, and like I don't really get acne anymore, which like I feel like I was still kind of getting in like my early 20s.
Yeah. And
I finally have lip injections. That's great for me. I'm like, I think I'm looking good.
I feel like a huge game changer for me was just being able to like grow a beard, you know? And I don't have like a full on like burly beard.
You have a nice beard though.
But it's like, I don't know. It's like there's something about like just a little stubble that's like always just like
nice.
And
you have yours that's like I would say if you were using clippers, it's probably a number 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know. Is that right? Am I correct?
You are correct.
See, I'm so fucking good at my job. God, I think a number 2 beard is like perfect.
Sometimes I'll clip it down to number 1,
and let
sometimes I'll shave it. But I kind of grow in. But 2 is like the perfect.
I agree.
Level to try to keep it around. Yeah,
and you do this as well with your mustache, which I love, and I think like everyone with a beard should do, where the mustache is just like a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
And like maybe slightly, like I love a mustache.
Yeah, let your mustache a little.
Yeah,
you know?
just like have it just a little more like full, a little more pronounced.
True.
The beard is at a 2, the mustache is at like a 3, around there.
I remember, so I was probably, sorry, we'll get to the episode.
We will, whatever.
You
guys, you know what you're here
I was
for.
Like,
also, the episode's going to be probably depressing.
True.
So at least mine is definitely.
Portion.
Mine is like way depressing. So
mine's not.
Yeah, soak this
super fun
in.
Time.
Soak this in. Okay, you'll be missing this in about 20 minutes.
But I was probably like 19 or, I was 19 and I went, my first ever girlfriend, the place she worked at, which was Tsunami, the sushi place. Yeah. Delicious place.
Yeah, they do have good sushi.
But we went to their like Christmas party and there was this guy there who had like this really sick handlebar mustache. And I was like, wow. I remember I like walked up and I was like, how do you do that? You know?
That's cute.
I want to know how that's done. Yeah. And I like didn't even have that much facial hair at the time. But,
you're like, I need to know your secrets. And he gave me the
best advice for anybody trying to grow a mustache is don't trim across. Like you can trim the sides and keep them like the same like length, but let it grow and then brush it over to the sides. Yeah. And it will look fuller. Yes. And it will, and again, he was saying like if you eventually want to curl it, you need that
have that cute curly mustache thing. I remember when you used to wear your mustache like that.
Yeah, I know. I should do it more.
That was fun. Yeah. That was a fun time.
Fun little thing.
You've kind of chopped it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I think it looks great.
Thank you. Yeah. But so if you're trying to grow a full mustache, don't thin it out and let it grow and then just again brush it. Comb it and like keep it nice. Yeah.
Comb it out, put some like oil and like wax and stuff in it.
Obviously if you let it like get in your mouth and like you don't care for it, it's gonna look gross. But you gotta like again try to keep it somewhat nice. If you're not willing to do that, then maybe you don't deserve a mustache.
You don't deserve one. You don't deserve a mustache. Well, what are we talking about today?
You're first. Let
I
us
am
know.
First. I guess like our overarching theme of the episode was like religious adjacent organizations that are actually way sketchy and really, really bad. That's my description of what the theme of is today.
I'd say you're hard pressed to find a religious organization that's not bad.
It's
harder to find one that's not bad than it is to find one that has like weird shit about them.
Yeah.
And it's never even like, sorry, I'm already tangenting.
Please, I love it. Whatever.
It's never even like Because it's like, yeah, I expect a religious organization to say like some shitty thing about like gay people or whatever.
Sure.
Like, but it's always like just again like these terrible atrocities that are supposedly bad in their religion. Like, oh, you're like this crazy pedophiles or the sexual assault cases and like.
Yeah, I feel like it's like things that go against like their own doctrine.
Yeah, which is like even I don't know. It's like. Not that, again, saying gay people are bad is good. Obviously, that's terribly damaging.
But at least they're not whatever. They're upfront about it.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway.
So, Taylor.
Yes.
Were you ever a Boy Scout?
Oh, God, yes, I was.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was a Cub Scout.
Cub Scout.
So I was a little bit younger. And the crazy thing is, so I was a Cub Scout when we lived in Colorado. I lived in North Glen, Colorado, right outside of Denver. And it was really fun. We did it through like a rec center. And over there, it was like, again, you could like do it and through a rec center and it was fine because we weren't LDS. But then we moved back to Utah. And I wanted to continue Cub Scouts, but the only place you can do them here is through the churches.
Yeah.
So I think I went to like one Cub Scout meeting and they like were having me like pray, like, but like weird Mormon prayer and stuff. And I was like, I don't want to really do this anymore.
They're
Mom.
like starting it with like, Dear Heavenly Father. And you're like, who?
Yeah. I was like, Mom, I'm not really having a good time anymore. Like I liked it when I was just like whittling wood with, like,
just like
pocket
doing
knife.
outdoorsy things.
Yeah. But so, that's when I stopped going to Cub Scouts.
Well, good choice.
Yeah. Maybe I dodged a bullet there. I don't know.
I think so. Being in Boy Scouts was a signature part of many American men's childhoods, learning wilderness survival skills, completing service projects, and connecting with other boys their age. Boy Scouts was always notoriously connected with the Christian church, having troop cabins on church properties, being funded by local churches, and making time in scout meetings to focus on Christian teachings. We had a troop that was like part of I went to, if y'all don't know, Lore Drop, I grew up Methodist. And yeah, I believe it was Troop 401. That was
crazy.
That was our troop. And we had like a little meeting house for them there. And they always, the like yearly thing, well, the one I remember, I guess, I'm sure they did a lot of shit with the church, but is they would sell like wreaths, like Christmas wreaths. Yeah, that's what I remember about it.
Yeah.
Technically, the Boy Scouts of America, which is now known as Scouting America, I'll get to that part later, drop that one on you later, is a non-denominational organization and accept members of all religions and even members who are non-believers. But that being said, the official Scouting America website still maintains that all scouts have a duty to God and that, quote, no member can grow into the best kind of citizen without recognizing an obligation to God.
Okay. So you kind of throw the whole like non-denominational, non-believer thing out the window.
Yeah.
Because you're like, they're like, you can be anything, but also you gotta
devote yourself to
God. So.
And like, we all know it's like, they don't mean Allah. They mean like the Christian God. On the Scouting America website, the founder, Robert Baden-Powell, is quoted saying, quote, there is no religious side to the movement. The whole of it is based on religion. That is, on the realization and service of God. Religion is essential to happiness. There is not a mere matter of going to church, knowing Bible history, or understanding theology. Religion, very briefly stated, means, firstly, recognizing who and what is God. Secondly, making the best of the life that he has given one and doing what he wants of us. This is mainly doing something for other people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So immediately
lots of things
contradicts himself.
Yeah.
Because he says that there is no religious side to the movement of Boy Scouts.
Cub Scouts, yeah.
But then says it's all based on religion.
Well, yeah, was
and that religion is essential to happiness.
Yeah, was he trying to say like it's not just a religious side, the whole thing's based on, is it like that was it?
Maybe. Yeah, that's an interesting interpretation. That's might be right.
Kind of what I was thinking, because it doesn't, it's weirdly
I also
contradictory.
kind of feel like maybe he was trying to say like, oh, religion is bigger than just church. It's like,
oh yeah,
giving your service to God. I don't fucking know. Whatever. Regardless, very clearly, the Boy Scouts / Scouting America, as it's known now, has and always will be based on a fundamentalist Christian,
like set of morals, roots. I guess.
Yeah.
Also, I'm way happier being not religious now than I ever was when I was religious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
I never regret not being religious. Yeah, religion is essential to happiness is the funniest thing that I've ever read because...
Can't think of anything that's made more people more miserable other than maybe like, I don't know, the government.
Yeah, right.
But like, it's up there. Like the Catholic Church is up there as like one of the like worst things, like institutions that's ever existed. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Anyway. This is going to be a real Phoebe and Tayler yell about religion episode.
Yeah. Again, the lore,
so many feelings.
The Phoebe and Tayler lore is that we both grew up highly religious, but like but not the predominant religion of our state as well.
Exactly.
So it's like we just have a lot of thoughts.
I have so many thoughts.
Yeah.
So many thoughts. The BSA, or I guess Scouting America website, I'm going to refer to it from like this point on as BSA throughout the whole thing because most of this story has to do with before the name change happened. So anyway,
cool.
The website also states that, quote, any youth or leader who would be a member of Scouting America must profess a belief in God and promise to do his or her best to fulfill the spiritual ideas of Scouting. So again, it's like, they say like, oh, we accept anyone, you can be any religion. You don't even have to have a religion. But it's like they say right there pretty like front and center on the website that like you have to believe in God and promise to fulfill God's wishes.
Which is such a silly, like, I always thought like declarations and stuff is like real, like, I don't know. Like, of course, yeah, if you want to just like hang out with your friends and go camping, you're going to say whatever that you need to say to like go camping with your friends.
Yeah.
It's like when people swear on a religious text, like in court.
Like in court, you're like, oh, do you swear in the Bible? I'm like, sure.
Yeah, okay. Like,
like that means nothing to me.
Yeah, it's like, and like, even if it did, like, or yeah, I don't know. Like, even if it was a religious text. I can
just lie.
Yeah, like, I swear I won't people lie all the time.
Yeah, putting it on top of a Bible is not going to change it. Anyway. While Scouting America has expanded in recent years, the name change, the American Christian Corps still remains. In fact, an interesting tidbit, the Duty to God program was created by Orem, Utah resident David Wilson, who is indeed Mormon.
Oh, yep, makes sense.
And the Duty to God program is like this... You can find it on their website. It's like basically how to prove yourself to God as a scout or some shit. And like the kind of the curriculum of like what the scout leaders should do in terms of like the God aspect of that shit. So anyway, a Mormon guy from Orem, Utah wrote that part of it. So once again, scouting, as much as they really would like to say that it's non-denominational, it's really seeming like it's not Christian. Non-denominational.
Yeah. It's so weird. I guess it's just that whole like we're inclusive, like fake inclusivity thing.
Exactly, because it's like more. Well, probably not so much anymore now, but
yeah. Anyway,
a couple years ago, it was profitable to do that. Anyway, the Boy Scouts of America announced in 2017 that they would start allowing girls to join the organization, but it wasn't until January of 2019 that the name changed from Boy Scouts of America to Scouting America. And the admission of girl members became official. So there you have it. That's why they changed the name.
I see.
Because they allowed girls to start joining. The decision was, of course, met with a ton of backlash. Online commenters lit up the Scouting America page saying that the decision was politically correct or PC.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when the right used to use that term instead of like woke?
Yeah, they would say
PC. They would be like, that's PC.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the PC, the woke mob has come to take us
now
to
it's woke. Now everything's woke.
Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania. Interestingly enough, the Girl Scouts of the USA, which is what like the official Girl Scouts thing is called, the Girl Scouts of the USA president at the time accused BSA of making this change as a ploy to drive up membership, which might be true. However, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I think I can see both sides of the coin there. That like, yeah, I think that they definitely, you know, because the Boy Scouts was getting some flack for not allowing women to join because, anyway. So I like, can kind of see what she's saying, but also I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like it's
chill out.
It's just scouting. Like
yeah, because there's also this. The GSUSA also released a statement around this time clarifying their position on opening the gender in Scouts. Quote, GSA does not change the position of Girl Scouts of the USA or our mission to serve girls and girls only, and to foster their amazing leadership potential. We remain steadfast in our knowledge that Girl Scouts is the world's single best leadership development program for girls. So,
were you a Girl Scout?
No.
Okay.
I was like...
Do you know anyone who was?
You know what? Not really. I mean, I think I did, but that was not my sphere. My mom, believe it or not, that woman tried so hard to be like a PTA lady. She's just not built for that kind of thing. And you know what, Mom? That's not the kind of mom I need. But I was in like, I think it's called like Brownies.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what Baby Girl Scouts is called?
I think so, yeah.
I was in Brownies for like, not even a month, maybe. And we would go, it was like at my elementary school or something, and we would like hang out, and I don't even know, I'm sure we talked about Girl Scout related things, but I don't really remember any of it. And it was pretty boring to me, and then I think my mom realized that she was not very good at that kind of thing and gave up probably about a month in, which is also what happened with the PTA. Because again, she's just not built for that kind of thing. And I never expected her to be that kind of mom. And frankly, I didn't really want her to be.
Yeah, I'm glad she's not.
So you're off the hook, Mel, if you're listening.
Well, I'm just curious as to like what, like, do they teach you survival skills in Girl Scouts?
And I'm going to not
talk about
not deeply, but I'll get into it a little bit.
Yeah,
but no, they don't. They don't.
Because I was like, what if girls need to survive in the wilderness too?
And this was what the why sort of there was pushback on Boy Scouts being just for boys. And frankly, I mean, I think boys should have been allowed in Girl Scouts as well. Because in Girl Scouts, you're not learning these like survival techniques. You're not doing these like, you know, I feel like Boy Scouts is like so revered, and Girl Scouts is like, oh, they sell cookies.
Yeah, literally.
And, you know, Boy Scouts is like, if you were in the Scouts and you were like, you got your Eagle Scout and all of that, like you could put that on a fucking job resume or something. And you're learning, like, there is merits to the Boy Scouts. Like, you are learning, like, life skills. Totally. You're learning how to, like, tie knots. You're learning how to, like, set traps and get animals if you're lost in the wilderness or whatever. You're learning how to start fires. You're learning how to build shelters. Like, there's things that, like, are real skills that are good to know.
Well, it's like what I was saying,
and the girls are not getting that in Girl Scouts.
I feel like a few weeks ago I was saying how like I would really have liked to know, like, have learned how to like iron clothes and stuff.
Exactly.
And maybe that's something, I don't know if that's something they do in Girl Scouts, but like,
I don't know for sure.
These are skills that you should teach everybody.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but anyway.
There has always been comparisons between Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and well, like I just said, like I believe there's merits to both programs. It is worth saying that the Girl Scouts program does not focus on the survival aspects like Boy Scouts does, like we were just saying. And it's certainly used to be a more traditional female role-focused organization. Don't get me wrong, like I think it's really girl power and all of those things, but like this is something that I think is still old in terms of like the curriculum, and I think that tends to kind of perpetuate like traditionally female roles and female things, and
conservative at least to a degree.
Yes,
and it's got the same religious aspect,
right? Like kind of the homemaking part of it, which is fine. It's okay. I literally wrote it down here, so I'm like yelling what I'm about to say anyway. But like I was saying, I want to make sure that it's clear that I do think there's big merits to both of these programs. That Girl Scouts can be extremely empowering for girls, that learning what could be considered traditionally female skills, such as like sewing and things like that, are genuinely useful skills that everyone should have, like you were saying, Taylor. And I do think that it's like shitty when people sort of shit on skills like that, because it's like, oh, that's a girl skill. Like, you should know those things, and they're like really awesome to know. And like women who are incredible at homemaking, that is a skill, and you're awesome. I don't need to put all these caveats. Y'all know I'm not the kind of person. Anyway, I just felt like I had to, because however, I believe that being in Boy Scouts can be great for young people. Learning outdoor survival skills and doing service projects is fulfilling and a wholesome way to spend time, especially when you're developing. You know, I think it's good to grow up with purpose. I think it's good to, like, it's great that you're spending your time learning how to start fires in a good way, like in a camping way, not in an arsonist way, instead of like, I don't know, doing drugs or whatever. Like,
or starting fires in
an arsonist way. Like, it's good to have these. However, both organizations have many issues that have been outright damaging to the members, and both these organizations seriously need to undergo some changes if they truly want to keep members safe and make a positive change in their lives. So, is now a good time to do it? Okay, I was about to launch into like some serious shit.
A positive change in our lives.
you listeners, it's so true though.
Yeah, we do.
It's
love
so
you.
true.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take this positive break before some really negative stuff.
Yeah. Take some deep breaths. Get a spindrift. I'm drinking a lime, personally.
I am drinking ranch water, and the brand is called Karbach.
Yeah, Karbach ranch water. I actually like the ranch waters. They're like not too sweet.
Are they from Georgia?
Oh, nice.
That's GA, right? Georgia?
Yeah.
GA is Georgia.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're really good. Ranch water's delish.
Huge fan.
But I was a little stressed today,
Yeah,
so
valid.
I needed a little ranch water.
Yes,
anyway, we're gonna take a break.
Break. Oh, and so that's how you went from being wanted in all 50 states to now being internationally wanted by multiple like secret services and like agencies.
Correct. Yeah, MS-13 is after me. Yeah, you know, I got caught up in a foreign crime.
Yeah.
Organization. Fuck, I was trying. God damn it.
Mafia?
Yes. Yup. I got caught up with them. Well, you know how much I love Italy.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I got caught up with the mafia. With my, you know, the whole scheme I was running a while back where I would like steal a 40. Is that what I was doing?
Steal a 40, like.
Do you remember I would get my scheme I was running a while ago? That was a bit on the podcast. That my scheme, I would steal a 40 from a gas station and then resell them or something. What was my scheme? What was that bit?
Oh, fuck. I forgot. I just remember the bit where you're like progressively getting wanted in more and more locations.
Yes. But I think one day I came up with a story for that, and it was like something like I would like steal a 40 from a gas station and then like sell them to like underage kids or something.
Yeah, and then like rob the kids and then return it to the gas station.
Something like that. It was so complicated. But yeah, anyway, the mafia caught wind of that and they were like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, we need you.
Yeah, and I, you know, I was like living in New Jersey at the time, and then, you know, the Italian, the mob, the mafia.
Bunch of Guidos.
The Guidos. I got involved with them, and then they brought me to Italy, and then we were doing that, but it was with bottles of red wine.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
So now my next choice is to go to Romania, because according to Andrew Tate, you know, they're a little looser with the laws over there.
Well, I mean, it didn't really work out for him very well.
It did not work out at all. Thank God, honestly.
Oh my God. Yeah. Jesus Christ. That's a guy we should talk about. Granted,
We really need to.
I know that Behind the Bastards just re-released their like rewind episodes on Andrew Tate.
I mean, I know there's been like
And-
plenty of conversations about
Yeah.
Andrew Tate. We honestly should do, though. Here we go again. Y'all know how me and Taylor love to plan here on air. But then you get a taste of what's to come, so you're welcome. We should do like Andrew Tate adjacent that are maybe like lesser known.
Yeah.
Like those weird
Manosphere guys.
Yeah, like there's weird dudes on like TikTok that are like, you know, shilling shit to like 12-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, like
Andrew Tate's not like all that anymore.
Like Andrew Tate and like, I don't know how I mean, I'm sure he is, but like how misogynistic his content is, but like kind of like Liver King-esque guys,
Absolutely.
you know? Like,
yeah.
Where it's like
Absolutely.
bodybuilding and like, you know, supplement, like they always sell supplements and shit, like, and
like these
courses.
like barstool sports esque. Like younger dudes that aren't Gen Z, but they talk like Gen Z and they have podcasts and they are like, not to shade you, but they're like chewing Zins all day.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I understand the Zin stereotype.
Listen, though, the difference is you're doing Zins so you could quit vaping.
Yeah, it's true.
Did vaping so you could quit smoking. So you're just on like the path to righteousness.
Yeah, no. Soon I'll be able to be in the Cub Scouts.
They'll accept you back in.
Yeah, no, that would be an interesting one because it's just there's like 1.5 million fucking like manosphere grifter guys that are like
they're all over,
and it's either like fitness or like grind set or like, and they're always like, for $69 a day you can take my courses to learn how to get your mind in shape and learn how to hustle, and like, I don't know,
they're
it's
always like selling crypto on the side.
It's crazy.
They're always like sports betting or like app gambling, stocks, something along the lines of that. It's like that guy who had, I don't know because you're not on Twitter X anymore, but there was like this guy who had like he filmed his whole morning routine, and it's like, and he like wakes up at like 3 a.m. and it's mostly him just like dicking around. He like pours a bottle of water in an ice bowl and like puts it in there, and then he like swims around for a little bit, and then he like pretends to read a book for like 2 pages and then closes it, and then he's on the phone and he's like, 10,000, I think that's what we need to do, and that's like him doing business. And then like that's it's like,
I think Emily showed me that video.
You know what, she did, because I was here and I
remember because like when he dives into the pool, it's like it like skips 4 minutes on the like the timestamp.
He's just like floating in the air for 4 minutes. Honestly, like if that was real though, I would be like, I think he actually, because he can kind of fly essentially, or at least float in the air.
Maybe his morning routine, maybe he's onto something.
Maybe that was like he was kind of like trying to subliminally put that in. He's like, I'm like rich and I have some woman like hand me 14 bottles of whatever expensive water that he likes to drink all day. But like really he's trying to be like, okay, but like I have harnessed technology and I have the ability to float now, and nobody's talking about
unlocked levitation.
I've unlocked levitation, achievement unlocked.
It's so fun. Like he dumps a bottle of like fancy water to use as like an ice bath. It's like, dude, fucking grow up.
I'm sorry. You probably live in like Calabasas. You can use tap water.
Well, and oh god, and to be honest, I feel like the pool he was swimming at, it's been a while. I saw the video once, but I was like, it looks like kind of a hotel ass pool. I don't know.
It did. I think here's what I'm just like fully making assumptions about who this man is. I feel like he lives at like a kind of shitty luxury apartment vibes. Yeah. You know what? I take it back. I bet he doesn't live in Calabasas, because I feel like people that actually are rich in California aren't doing it like that. Mm-hmm. Wealth whispers, money talks. Okay. I think a housewife said that. Not an SLC housewife. I wish we could claim that one.
Yeah.
But I bet he lives in like Austin.
Yeah. Yep.
I bet he lives in like one of those cities that's becoming very like there's a food hall, and there's like one of those like they like serve drinks and stuff, but there's like mini bowling. You know what I mean? You know those places.
Yeah, I do. Totally.
He lives in a city that's like kind of one of those. Like he
like
lives in like Austin or like Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's not like one. It's not. It can't be California because
No,
they've
it's
had that
not.
stuff for years.
Yeah,
but
yeah. In California, like again, like being rich in California is a totally different thing. Like this guy he definitely clearly makes a lot of money. But yeah, I think he lives in a city that's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's giving. I want to say like Austin or Cincinnati or something.
Yeah.
That's my prediction. I need to track this down, and trust me, listeners.
We'll report back.
We will report back on, I don't even know what this guy's name is or what his deal is, but...
The morning routine guy.
And that's just the vibes I'm picking up on.
Yeah. Just the vibes right out of the air. Just
I'm picking them, literally pulling them out of the air.
Yeah.
Pulling them out of the air. Anyway, are you ready to be depressed?
That's why I come here.
I mean, I hope it
only
is.
on Mondays.
Because
more often than not, I come here to enjoy lovely time with my friends.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Usually when we're at my place, it's like a nice... Also, okay, I know you guys are... You know what? You're not tired of the side tangents. We're back. We're back and we're better than ever on our weekly movie nights with the homies.
So
and
nice.
It has been healing me. I have to admit to you, and you may have... I think you probably knew. I did fall asleep in the last, like... maybe 10-ish minutes of Oddity, and I was so fucking mad because I wasn't sleepy at all. I was feeling really good, and then it hit me like a runaway train, and I was like so invested, and I got so far, and I didn't get to the reveal of what was going on with the wood guy. I didn't get to see what that was.
Oh, you didn't see the wood? Oh, that's crazy.
I fell asleep for that part.
No.
I was asleep for that part, for the ending. I was so mad.
Yeah.
I was so mad. So I need to watch like the last 10 minutes because I was so fucking invested. And then my little sleepy eyes just slammed shut, and I missed out.
The last scene of the movie, honestly, I think I was telling everybody, it's a little, and we're talking about Oddity, the like 2024 horror movie.
It was last year.
The last scene is a little corny. I think they could have done that scene better, but the rest of it is like very suspenseful. I think it's shot really well.
Yeah, I was really enjoying it.
Pretty good movie.
I was really enjoying it. My body betrayed me, unfortunately. I did have like 2 shots of tequila.
You get so eepy. I mean, Maddie was very eepy as
well. Dude, yeah.
So.
I mean, he's been going really hard. He fell asleep like a minute in. I heard him like I could hear his. Obviously when you like sleep in the same bed with somebody, often you like get to know their breathing patterns, and I know that like pre-sleep or like I'm just barely asleep breath pattern, and I was like moving my legs a little bit to kind of wake him back up, and it just was not working, and I finally was like, baby, just go to bed. It's okay. Nobody cares. You just go get some rest.
It was funny too because they didn't even say he was going to bed. He's like,
he just disappeared.
Well, he was like, I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, he said I'll be back.
He was in fact not back.
He will not be back. Yep.
It was funny.
Yep.
But
anyway, okay. On to not good things. According to Hurley Law, sexual abuse was happening. Here it is. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sexual abuse was happening in the Boy Scouts as far back as 1910 when the organization was founded. In 2012, BSA was ordered to release what is colloquially known as the Perversion Files.
Oh, God.
Yeah. These were private records that detailed sex abuse allegations within BSA from the mid-1960s to the mid-1980s. These files include information about sexually abused minors by more than 1,200 scout leaders or other adult volunteers. The real name of these files is the Ineligible Volunteer Files, which is a little light, I think.
Yeah.
It's a little light to be calling these. The Perversion Files obviously is like a little, I don't love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, like, these are crimes.
Yeah, that's, like, I mean, whatever, I understand why people were calling it that, but I just feel like the Ineligible Volunteer Files is really, like, sugarcoating what this is.
It's very much giving the, like, what is the, it's whenever there's, like, a situation where, like, there's like a high profile like sexual assault case, and they're always like the young woman, the sexual assault on the young woman, and it's like you can say the rape of a girl, like a child, you know?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
like it's the way they like always talk
or like
about
officer involved shooting, where it's like you can say, well, and they're not going to, but it's like, so the police officer shot this person and killed them.
Yeah, he was a murderer.
It's like a police officer was present while a gun was fired that hit a person, and the person subsequently passed away.
Literally. It's the way they like frame news stories is very telling, I think.
Exactly. It's like, I wonder like what you're trying to make us think.
Yeah, and what's your agenda here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
The result of this lawsuit was BSA paying out over $150 million to victims, and with the threat of even more lawsuits coming, BSA was considering filing for bankruptcy, which is kind of a pussy way out of this kind of thing. Not pussy way. It's a sneaky, slimy little bitch way. In 2020, BSA did officially file for bankruptcy, putting pressure on victims to fast-track their cases if they wanted to receive any type of monetary restitution. So this is why the bankruptcy thing is kind of fucked, because they basically, like, I mean, they put a timeline and a cap on the cases that they could be taking, because once they're bankrupt, basically, like, you can't sue them anymore.
Yeah, they'd have no money to give you.
Exactly. Even if they're not technically bankrupt, you know, you can, I'm no freaking lawyer, but there's like ways to
the only thing that I don't know about like a business filing bankruptcy. I know for an individual, the only things that will remain on that you do have to pay if you file for bankruptcy is like government student loans. Right.
So
I assume it's something similar where it's like...
Yeah, it's a similar idea where like basically it's like a get out of having court cases filed against you free card. In 2021, the BSA created a plan to pay out a $1.037 billion settlement to victims. And by 2021, a $2.4 billion fund to pay out victims went into effect. A group of victims attempted to block this case, stating that, quote, sexual abuse victims will lose their right to pursue their claims independently of the bankruptcy settlement trust. And I'll kind of explain what this means and why people were aiming to block this. So the BSA case occurred just before the Purdue Pharma case, which is, of course, the famous case of Purdue getting sued over deaths due to their lie that OxyContin was not addictive. There's a few great, I believe there's a documentary on Hulu, and there was a show that I watched on Netflix. What is it called? Phoebe? Painkiller. Yeah. It's called Painkiller, which it was it was like a scripted TV show, but they did also show like testimonies from actual family members. But it goes into all of this and how Purdue Pharma is super fucking evil, and they knew the entire time.
Oh yeah, they knew the whole time. I'm pretty sure from what I've read or heard about that as well, they were like basically bribing doctors.
Yes,
to
100 million%. They absolutely
prescribe OxyContin.
Yes, they would
versus other painkillers.
Yeah, they would get like benefits from doing so, and they also were sending like hot chicks as like pharma. Straight up, it's so serious. It's so
like
real.
They
were selling
Red Bull car.
Yeah, they were
like have some fucking.
It was like Red Bull girls.
Opioids.
They were selling like
it's crazy.
They were sending hot chicks to be reps for OxyContin.
That's like a sitcom joke.
Yes,
like
it was
I can think of a Friends scene where they like have some hot girl at the gym who's like, oh, you want to quit the gym? Come with me. And then they like convinces them. And then they go to the bank, and then the bank rep is the same thing. They have like a hot bank rep.
Exactly.
It's literally, like it's a sitcom ass joke.
Yeah.
But, oh my God.
But it's like they
real life.
Really were doing this.
But it's actually the world we live in.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No. It's okay. It's fine. It's so,
crazy.
It's going to be Derail Nation this episode. It doesn't matter. Victims in this case, in the Purdue case, were also pushing back on a settlement trust, and Purdue was declaring bankruptcy. The trust and bankruptcy would allow for the Sackler family, who was like the owner of Purdue, to be cleared in any future opioid cases and would essentially protect them from any legal repercussions. So this is why this group of victims was pushing back on this, even though like a $2 billion fund for the victims, that's huge and it could be awesome and everything. However, it basically like saves them from any future like sexual assault cases going forward. And so or it's protecting individuals
who have now.
So really like all you could do was you could only sue like the BSA. You couldn't sue any of the churches that they were affiliated with, any individuals. You only could do this trust, which is if you were a victim of sexual assault through Boy Scouts of America.
That makes sense.
So it's kind of fucked. And it was the same thing with the Purdue Pharma case. In the BSA case, victims had experienced sexual assault through different avenues of the program. Like I was saying, the biggest of which was through church-led troops and church leaders who were also scout leaders who conducted the abuse. This group of victims wanted to assure that these individuals or churches wouldn't be essentially protected by the lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
The settlement, while a good option for victims, was in a way keeping these other parties from any future legal repercussions dealing with BSA sexual assault. So, like, the Catholic Church was a hugely involved in Boy Scouts of America. The Mormon Church, majorly involved with Boy Scouts of America. So this kind of protected those churches and those individuals. The BSA pushed back on this, stating, quote, if the justices block the deal, that it would threaten to throw the scouting program into chaos. Which, of course,
maybe it fucking should.
Exactly.
If you have 1,200 1,200 leaders, God, at least double that cases.
Just in these papers, right? Yeah. And this is just what's been reported.
Like, there's clearly a problem. Like, you are not doing what you.
It's like. It's like, oh, if we have to go to court over this and like not just settle and do a trust and it becomes a whole, court like dog and pony show, then
what are we going to do?
That's going to threaten our organization. It's like, well, yes, that's the whole point.
That's you didn't fucking check the people and have enough
you
like
weren't doing
balances
your
in
due
place.
diligence.
Oh yeah. Anyway. And I'm sure I'm sure they were just letting people run rampant. I'm sure you'll get into it.
Mm-hmm. By February of 2024, the case was settled and the trust continued paying out victims. So eventually it ended up that they just went with the trust.
Yeah.
Because the BSA is a federally chartered nonprofit, the organization has to send yearly reports to Congress about the inner workings of the organization. Year after year, these reports failed to mention the culture of sexual abuse. So these perversion files were never reported. These were just kept secret, all on their own. Tim Kosnoff, one of the attorneys for an ex-scout, said, quote, they were reporting that they were a wholesome organization when they were kicking out child molesters at the rate of one every 2 days for 100 years.
Holy shit. Oh my God, dude.
Yes. So they just they swept it all under the rug and they tried to cover it up.
Of course they did.
A child abuse expert brought in as part of the court case analyzed the perversion files and found that, quote, 12,254 boys had reported experiencing sexual abuse at the hands of at least 7,800 suspected assailants between 1944 and 2016.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Those are I can't incomprehensible
numbers
and evil.
Yeah, bad. Really bad. Other child abuse experts speculated that the number was probably much higher given that most abuse victims are shamed out of reporting or even threatened. The onslaught of allegations of sexual abuse against other large organizations like churches, media producers, etc. inspired many of the victims of BSA leaders to come out with their own stories, as well as... sorry. I thought I said that wrong. Inspired many of the victims of BSA leaders to come out with their stories, as well as led to several states extending the statute of limitations on sex abuse cases. In response to this, the BSA secretly hired lobbyists to rally against these extensions.
Oh, God.
Yes.
And again, this is like a good Christian organization who wants to sweep it all under the rug and continue to endanger countless generations of boys. So
yeah. And like,
soon to be
yeah, I
girls.
mean, if you're truly like this Christian organization, why are you needing to secretly hire lobbyists
Yeah.
to push against putting extensions on the statute of limitations on sex abuse cases? Like,
Well, and like it's like even the fact that you said like our organization will be thrown into chaos if you fucking continue this. Like, so you don't. So again, I feel
so
like
it's not about
that's-
the victims.
Yeah, it's and you're antithetically against what you say you believe in, which
exactly.
is like doing the right thing.
Yeah,
Like,
protecting
yeah.
young boys, you know, leading them with integrity, etc., etc. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just a hypocrite. Kendall Kimber, who is now 6 years old, recalls his time in the Boy Scouts. He had worked his way up quickly, dedicating time and energy into receiving his Eagle Scout and beyond. Boy Scouts was one of the most important things in his life. Kendall was chosen to be a part of a high-echelon scouting group and had to complete a special project to earn his next level up. Kendall's scouting master invited Kendall to his home with the promise of helping in this project. It was there that the scoutmaster sexually assaulted Kendall and changed his life forever. Kendall quit the Boy Scouts immediately and never turned his back. Quote, I felt cheated because the only thing I was good at was being a scout. But after that happened, I just walked away. I was done. Kendall suspects that the same scoutmaster abused his little brother as well, but we will unfortunately never know because his brother died of a drug overdose before Kendall could even ask.
Sad.
Yeah. Many victims of sexual assault struggle with substance abuse, PTSD, depression, chronic pain, heart attacks, and stroke. The BSA victims are no different. Kendall says that 2 of his brothers turned to drugs, another to alcohol abuse. James Kretschmer, another BSA victim, says that the sexual abuse he suffered has impacted his personal relationships for his entire life. Quote, I've been married and divorced 4 times, and I will stand up and say right now it's probably because of the simple fact that I built a shell to protect myself because of the trauma. According to a Time magazine article from 2019, the BSA had claimed that they made changes to their organization in order to protect the children and remove the abusers. One of these changes was the Scouts First helpline, a phone number you could call to report abuse or behavior that could put young Scout members at risk. However, when a mother of a 14-year-old Scout who said he had been abused called the number, she found it entirely unhelpful. The person answering the call was a volunteer with no credentials in mental health, support for abuse victims, or any helpful knowledge about the law. The volunteer suggested that the mother make a report with local police. Following this, the mother contacted the camp counselor who told her, quote, boys will be boys.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Before 2010, when some of the first reports of sexual assault came out, there was essentially no process to becoming a volunteer with the Scouts. So, like you had said before, there was no background checks, no real interviews, and with most volunteers coming from the churches that the troops were affiliated with, no one thought to, or were too afraid to, question the men stepping up to lead the troops. Again, it's this like, oh, he's a good guy, he's part of the church, you know, people part of
Every
the
time.
church are good people. And, you know, who knows what level that they were at in the church. So there's this culture of like not questioning, especially men who are higher up in the church, etc., etc. These men would take the young Scouts on unsupervised overnight trips. They guided the boys as they grew up, and they were looked to as a beacon for advice on the difficult subjects of life, oftentimes as like an unquestionable source of information. Abusers took complete advantage of the many weak links in the scouting program and unfortunately continued to do so for years. These abusers were able to continue their terror because of the stigma attributed to male victims of sexual violence, the power imbalance between leaders and Scouts, and, of course, because of the rampant homophobia in the BSA. At the time, the BSA had said that, quote, homosexuality was inconsistent with the obligations of the Scout Oath and Scout Law. Which, of course, being sexually assaulted by an older man doesn't make you homosexual, but, you know, admitting that that type of thing has happened, being in a sexual situation as a boy with another male person leads to
Yeah.
A lot of the time receiving homophobia, or you're afraid that people are going to accuse you of being gay or something, and so you don't come out and say it because of
Yeah,
that.
and you're like ashamed, and
Exactly.
there's like already so much shame around it, just that it happened, and then it's like on top of that you have this like people are going to like accuse you of being gay, or like think that you're gonna face homophobia, or like there's that really weird misconception that a lot of people have that like homosexuality is caused by abuse.
Right, exactly.
And like there's people who like to this day, people in my fucking family who think that still. And it's like, that's not how it works. But
no.
Yeah, I don't, it's so yeah, I understand fully
exactly
where they would be getting that from.
The BSA did not change this ruling, about homosexuality being inconsistent with the obligations of Scout law. They did not change this ruling until 2013, when they were finally allowing gay members to join. The BSA has put several new protections in place to attempt to stop the rampant abuse. The BSA website states, quote, "Safety is a value that must be taught and reinforced at every opportunity. We are all responsible and must hold each other accountable to provide a safe environment for all participants." And the BSA is now implementing mandatory youth protection training, criminal background checks, banning one-on-one youth-adult interactions, mandatory reporting of suspected abuse to law enforcement, and a volunteer screening database, which is at least a step in a right direction after over 100 years.
Yeah. I also would just like to point out that Don't Ask, Don't Tell ended before the Boy Scouts allowed gay members in.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Don't Ask, Don't Tell ended in September 20th of 2011.
Wow, that's crazy. That's actually really crazy.
When you're behind the military.
Yeah, it says a lot.
When the military is like based in a decision that you're 2 years behind on,
that says a lot.
Oof.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Jesus
sorry, I just
Christ.
made me think of that.
No. That was good to know. My God. Child abuse, and especially child sexual abuse, is an issue that can be difficult to tackle and difficult to, put stoppers around. Abusers are able to find the vulnerabilities in an organization and use them to their advantage. Background checks are helpful, but as we've been talking about this entire time, oftentimes abuses haven't even been reported. The most important thing to do to protect children is for adults to hold other adults accountable, for reports to be taken seriously, and for organizations, especially large faith-based organizations like the BSA, to value the lives of their members over their money and over their reputations. The two religious organizations most involved with the BSA, as I said earlier, are the Catholic Church and the Mormon Church, who have their own long, sordid history with child sexual abuse.
Yeah.
And just an interesting note, the Mormon Church cut ties with the BSA in 2013 when it went into effect that the organization would be allowing gay children, trans children, and girls.
Wow.
So, I love that that's when they decided to step out, and not when all of the horrible, horrible sexual abuse allegations came out.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. The Mormon Church always making the right, always choosing the right, the Mormon Church.
They always.
And I want to end with a quote from Brian Knappenberger, who is the director of the documentary called Scouts Honor, which details the sexual assault cases against the BSA and details the lives of those that have been impacted by these assaults. And I haven't watched this, but I probably will when I feel mentally prepared.
Yeah.
But I wanted to end with this quote because it's a little bit of a, I don't know, I think it's maybe a bit of a nicer ending anyway. Quote, "We can get angry at the Boy Scouts and we can try to call for change, but we do have to remember that there's a deep, deep courage that comes from being able to tell this story. It all springs from that courage." The end.
Yeah, that's a nice quote.
So.
Yeah, and I feel like the thing that a lot of people, because it's like you won't, as any organization, be able to like always weed out every bad person, that like stuff is going to happen, but it's like clearly in this case, and with the case of like the Catholic Church and the Mormon Church and like all these organizations, it's like clearly they aren't trying. Like, and then not only that, but they're protecting in a lot of cases the people who have done this because they are high up in the church or whatever.
That's exactly it. Well, and at the end of this, you know, at the end of when all of the cases were wrapped up and everything, there was over 80,000 people pressing charges, which was even larger than what was pressed against the Catholic Church, which isn't saying that, you know, this was a larger whatever, but also, I mean, a lot of these people were a part of the Catholic Church as well. Anyway, all this being said is that it's like, yeah, no matter what you do, like, there are going to be people that are going to try to make their way into these organizations that are meant to be wholesome. But clearly there's a culture of, like, protecting people here and allowing these men to continue to get away with abusing children here in the name of, like, money and religion, saving face, you know, not trying to, because, if I call out this person and they're high up in the church in this way, it's going to make the whole organization look bad. Yeah. So the only way to solve this is to just, when these reports do happen, rather than putting them in a secret file and locking them away, actually doing anything.
Yeah, take them seriously for once. Yeah. Funny joke. Put one here.
Yeah, I know.
Let's take a little break. Okay. I don't think mine will be as sad as yours,
Great.
Fortunately.
Love that.
Not that it's a ray of sunshine.
I'm sure it's not an uplifting one.
But, we'll be back soon.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Break. Doesn't the soap in my bathroom smell really good?
Yeah, it smells delicious, actually.
I think it's pomegranate tangerine flavor.
Delicious combo of flavors.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Flavors too. It does taste like that.
Yeah. Smell, I guess. I always say flavor. Sensory experience in one way or another. Yeah. Yeah.
Every time I wash my hands in your bathroom, I think about the time that you got mad at us for getting water everywhere.
Okay, so at my old place, listeners, this was not everybody's fault, but I was just going to lose my mind that one moment. So, if you don't know this about me, I have a thing for sinks. Mm-hmm. And I really like my sinks to be, like,
meticulous sink
clean and nice. And one thing that I have obsessive compulsive disorder about is I don't like water drips on my countertop, which I know is crazy. I do know this. At my old place, my faucet in my bathroom sink was kind of short. Mm-hmm. And it's like you had to really, like, get your hands under there, so water would always get everywhere. And everyone was over at my house one day, and I, like, go in the bathroom, and every time I'm in the bathroom, I, like, wipe the countertop down, and I come out one time. It's like, how come every time you guys are over here, the countertop is soaking wet?
And every time since, I think all of us are like,
God. Oh. You're, like, wiping it up.
I know Eden definitely is.
I felt so bad. I just was like,
funny, honestly.
My little mentally unstable brain finally snapped, and I was like, why is there water everywhere?
I mean, if that's, like, the worst thing that you're going to get on Friends about, that it's not,
My old roommate used to make so much fun of me because I had a towel for drying my hands, and I had a towel for drying off the counter.
That's mental illness for you.
Yeah, you know, it's okay.
But a pretty, like I like to think, because, like, I have a big thing where, like, I wash my hands a lot throughout the day, like, and, like, I always, like, kind of remind myself, I'm like, this is honestly, like, one of the better compulsions to have, you know?
Yes, as long, you know, I mean, you're not, like, your hands aren't, like, raw and bleeding. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an okay one, you know, to have. Like, it's
actually good to wash your hands a lot.
You should wash your hands a ton.
Yeah. But
not a ton. You should wash your hands frequently.
Yeah, frequently. And specifically, if you're, like, in public and stuff and you're touching things, please.
The world is disgusting.
Like, sometimes I don't know what it is, but like sometimes there's like when I touch certain things, like I feel like even if there's not, I feel like there's this like layer up on my hands.
I'm right there with you.
Even if it's like the slightest bit, like it feels different. I'm like,
feel
I
like
have
a
to.
film.
I have to wash my hands. Yeah, like a film.
Yes.
It is funny.
Yeah, like things that are just like high traffic hand area, like elevators,
doorknobs.
Ugh.
Yeah, like
public transport.
Don't even get me started on like a public bathroom doorknob.
Oh,
I think about it every time.
I really don't like it. I really don't like it.
Burrows into my head.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I too am a bit of a germaphobe.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
do you feel about slavery?
Slavery.
Yeah.
I
guess
bad.
Yeah, no. Bold stance.
Say bad, I think. Bold stance. Slavery, bad.
Phoebe's coming in with a
this
bold.
This just in.
Yeah.
Slavery, not so good.
Not so good.
Not so good.
Slavery is one of those things I feel like most people can kind of accept as bad, not a good thing.
Yeah, I think everybody, for the most part, is on that.
Yeah, like everybody. Well, maybe these days things are different, but I'd say you're in general, your like average person is going to say slavery was an atrocity.
Yeah, and I feel like because there are people that like think prisons are good, but that's like just legalized. Yeah. But when you're like, oh, like in America, pre-Civil War time, slavery, people are like, that was bad.
That was we shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm,
yeah. Mm-hmm. However, the current talking points of slavery and what it looks like in modern society, or modern setting, are very skewed. As I'm sure most listeners are aware, slavery does still exist in different forms around the globe. I don't think anybody is denying that. Like, for instance, sex trafficking is something that does exist.
Right.
But that being said, it does continue to be a right-wing talking point over and over, it seems.
Yeah.
And so does the topic of, again, as I was saying, like sex slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, child sex slavery.
Yeah, they really love to bring that one up.
Yeah, no, it's a huge for them. But maybe because of the heinous nature of it and the innocence of children, child sex slavery is, I'd say, a common talking point for the American conservatives. Mm-hmm. I specifically recall in 2020 when the BLM protests were happening, many conservatives were talking about giving their money to an organization that was actually doing something, air quotes, right? Mm-hmm. And that organization was Operation Underground Railroad, or OUR for short. Which...
a little shitty to steal that name, I think.
Very interesting call on that one.
Like you could have chosen like literally anything.
Literally any name, yeah. Also, I do need to note that my there it is. My title for this article is Operation Underground Jail Road.
That's so good.
And you'll see why soon.
Yeah, I can't wait. Foreshadowing.
Tim Ballard grew up in California and upon graduating high school in 1994 attended BYU.
Oh boy.
He's a hometown hero.
Oh god.
He and his family still live in Utah to this day. Provo, I believe.
Get out.
Utah County somewhere.
Leave.
Please. After college, Tim claims he worked with the CIA and specifically the Department of Homeland Security after 9/11, after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. He specifically was working to fight child trafficking overseas when it involved American citizens. The way that he says is he was like kind of gung-ho after 9/11 on fighting terrorists. So he went to work for the Department of Homeland Security, which was relatively new at that time.
Right.
And he states that they basically pulled him aside and asked him to do this project where he was, again, stopping child sex trafficking
Of American children.
of American citizen. It had to have involved an American citizen.
Right. They're like, Tim,
Yeah.
we have a very special project for you. You are just so brave and
You're
smart and
so
special and
smart.
brave. We have this really special, specific for you.
Super special, super specific.
Yeah.
And only you can do it.
And only you.
Only you. You're our guy. Though he became frustrated with how little he could do to help in the situation that it did not involve American citizens. It was out of the U.S.'s jurisdiction.
Because I was going to say, I feel like it's usually kind of the other way around.
That
where it's foreign children being brought to the U.S.
Yeah. I mean, probably. Yeah, I don't know.
As for sex trafficking.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't honestly look too much into the actual statistics of sex trafficking, but yeah, so that was kind of his frustration, and this kind of catapulted him into starting his own organization in 2013. Thus, OUR was born. According to the Atlantic,
do you know if the whole thing about the Homeland Security thing, if that's true or not?
So
it sounds a little far-fetched.
According to the Atlantic, the CIA and DHS claimed they could not confirm Ballard's employment records without his approval, which Tim never gave.
Okay.
So they said that they needed his approval to then confirm it. He never gave the approval. So we can't confirm or deny that any of this actually happened.
Okay.
I feel like, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know if the CIA says that for everything or if it's
right.
Because if they're we can't confirm it, unless we have his approval. Is that them saying yes, he did work for the CIA? But even then, did he get like he was saying, specially chosen for the child sex trafficking team?
And I get it's the CIA, they're very secret, but
yeah,
still, I don't know. I don't know. That's just
what kind of. He was he was talking about it very openly, right. It's it must have not been that classified stuff. To
right.
You were. It leads into my next paragraph on the Candace Owens show in 2020.
Fuck.
Tim says he worked with ICE primarily, and claims that they do the most in fighting against pedophiles. So,
really,
listeners, if you didn't know.
Really?
I think he said something, again, I was kind of just listening to it, but he says something ICE are great. If you didn't know, down at the border, they do a ton in fighting against pedophiles and this and that. And I was interest. I don't
really.
I don't think so.
the deportation guys are fighting pedophiles?
According to Tim Ballard.
Okay.
He also proceeds to claim that his wife convinced him to take the DHS job, stopping sex traffickers, and helped him to decide to start his own organization. Because, he's my wife is everything. She was you got to do this for the kids and this and that. And
of course.
Yeah. So, and listeners, don't ever say that I don't love y'all, because I listened to an entire episode of the Candace Owens show.
Yeah, no, Taylor really put in the work for this one.
And it was awful. Although I think I was telling you, I was I did not know what Candace Owens looked like until I saw her on the show. And I was you look like you would be cool.
Yeah.
And you have terrible takes.
Yeah, she's a younger
I don't know.
woman.
Which, I guess, young women can suck too.
Yeah,
but
of course. But it does still catch you off guard sometimes when you're damn, I thought the...
It is strange. It's when someone was telling me that Trump had a really big Gen Z vote and stuff. Yeah. And I was why?
I know it's really shocking.
I'm
and
what do they see in that? Because usually, I know that the political tides come and go, but
sure.
I'm I feel again, the youth are usually on the forefront of progressive movements.
Yeah, and I had thought that Gen Z was pretty, I don't know, more progressive and pretty anti. Anyway,
maybe it's that they're kind of edgelordish and they're Donald Trump is a meme.
And I do feel they're. You and I've talked about it 1,000 times. There is this new wave of young boys that are super misogynistic and like incel adjacent, manosphere, yada yada. So
yeah, they get kind of looped in young, and especially if they're
you
like
couldn't vote if you're like really
but
anyway
they get like looped in, and then like it's kind of an echo chamber for all their lives, and especially if they're like young, usually white, kind of isolated, like they're into like dork stuff, you know, like if you're into like video games or like niche online communities and stuff, like it's real easy. Again, hence we've talked about this a million times, but hence why like the furries have such a big problem with like fascism, but then they have a huge like anti-fascist movement.
Yeah. We're pro furry.
Yeah. Furry rights.
Free rights.
As long as they're not weird about it.
Yeah, I mean, don't be a fascist, but...
Yeah, don't be a fascist. Don't want to actually have sex with animals.
Right. Yeah, that part as well.
Yeah. But anyway, the OUR website says this on its What We Do section.
Oh, boy.
Develop relationships with law enforcement agencies.
Okay.
Mistake number 1.
Yeah. Right out of the gate, not doing well.
Number 2, identify how our rescue, OUR rescue, can bridge the gaps and enhance their efforts.
Okay.
Number 3, assist with open source intelligence, strategy, field operations, and survivor care. I'm sure
survivor care I like. That's a good part.
I'm sure you were wondering like what any of that means.
Yes.
Not much.
No, it's a lot of talk.
Yeah, it's a lot of talk. Number 4, provide evidence and legal support to help prosecute offenders.
Okay.
Which maybe they do. I don't know. It's a little tricky too because a lot of this is happening in, you know, foreign nations, so it's like
right
a little bit harder to access like files and court cases and stuff, and I honestly may not even be able to read some of them, so but that's what they claim they do. Ballard has been pretty supportive of President Trump, claiming that the border wall would stop sex trafficking out of the country, I guess in and out of the country.
Wow.
He actually appeared next to Trump in a 2019 White House conference on the border wall. So he was like, you know, right there. Wow. The front lines, some would say.
He was on the front lines of fighting sex trafficking.
Yeah, fighting sex trafficking by putting up a big wall.
Yes, which we know will solve it.
Always.
And also with the president who, you know, he is so avidly against sex trafficking. Donald Trump has never once participated in sex trafficking.
Oh, absolutely
and certainly has not battled in court about whether or not he's been involved in sex trafficking.
True, or been documented to be on the pedophile plane.
Yeah.
with the good old Jeff Epps.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, super big non-sex trafficking.
Yeah, definitely doesn't have like multiple child rape cases against her.
I mean, yeah, and then even that being said, you know, talking about grabbing women by the pussy and fucking...
no, the man is against
He's
sex
against all that.
trafficking.
Yeah, no, he's a good Christian man.
Sign
him up for the Cub Scouts.
No, literally, he's probably has his eagle.
Yeah, he probably has his eagle.
No one's closer to God than Donald Trump.
Yeah, you've said that since he got elected the first time, so...
I said, is this Jesus reincarnate?
And then God came to you in the vision, if I remember correctly.
I found a top hat in the forest.
Yeah.
There was some golden plates in there, but you had to have this little special rock. It's too much to get into right now in this episode, but
there was some like energy.
I have a book that you could read.
A couple, really.
Yeah.
So needless to say, Tim isn't what we would call a base guy.
No.
Even out of the gate, right? Like everything that comes after aside, not someone I want to, you know, hang out with.
Probably not.
Religious, conservative, and very in support of the police. In fact, between 2015 and 2018, OUR donated more than $170,000 to the Washington State Police's Net Nannies program. Basically like Chris Hansen to Catch a Predator style sting operations. Which there's some like problematic parts of that of
Definitely.
like those kinds of things. I mean, like first of all, like it is a little exploitative to like televise it. But also like I read this big long article about this like kind of awkward like guy who was like 22 or something, and like was talking to someone he met on Craigslist. The person was like, "Oh, I'm 13," and he was like, "No, you're not. Like, what do you mean? I met you on a Craigslist ad, right?" Like, and then like, I don't know. Again, this is, I guess, hearsay, but like, does genuinely claim that he was like, "I'm gonna show up and see if this person's actually 13 or if they're like yanking my chain," and ends up like going to prison, and like,
well,
there's again, it's not great, but there is some like the way they do it is a little, I don't know.
Well, and there's this trend, I guess you could say, happening right now where like YouTubers, I'm sure you're aware of this, YouTubers are like allegedly, quote unquote, finding quote unquote pedophiles. Who even knows if this is real? And then like showing up to wherever they live or wherever, whatever, and like recording and posting themselves just like beating the shit out of this person.
Yeah, or like
with like
yelling at
little to no evidence to actually prove like what this is. Like, it's just kind of like with like zero context, they're like, this person's a pedophile.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of show up and start like railing the shit. By railing, I mean beating.
Yeah.
The shit out of like this person. And then posting that on YouTube, and people are like, or on like Twitch probably, and people are like, yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's like, it's one of those things where you can like get behind it easily and be like, I don't like pedophiles, but like.
Right, but it's like, anyway, in these situations, it's like, there literally are like, I'm pretty sure there's like kind of picking random people.
Yeah.
And being like, we're just going to beat the shit out of this guy and like post on YouTube and like.
Yeah, and it's
slap
like.
the label on there.
And again, it's like, it's hard too, because it's like a lot of times I feel like, and maybe some of the YouTube people do, but like they don't show the full like context of the conversation, and like certainly know that like there's a lot of framing that's involved with those shows, like Chris Hansen's To Catch a Predator and stuff.
That show was certainly
There's just some discussions to be had. Again, it's like it's never good.
No, I
like,
mean, obviously we're not fucking supporting this kind of stuff here. We're just saying like there's a really weird culture surrounding it, especially right now.
Yeah, it seems that way. Especially
when all this OUR shit was like really getting boosted during 2020.
Oh yeah. Vice wrote an article calling OUR a QAnon adjacent organization in 2020. OUR has accepted, they have accepted the fringe beliefs of QAnon followers, where many other similar groups have distanced themselves from them, which says a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Quote from Vice, and this is a quote from Vice. Oh, I'll just read it because it kind of explains it. Some of these theories have allowed people to open their eyes, OUR founder/CEO Tim Ballard, a former Department of Homeland Security agent, told the New York Times in August. Thanks. So now it's our job to flood the space with real information so that the facts can be shared. A few weeks earlier, Ballard treated the false and QAnon-supported conspiracy theory that furnished retail marketplace Wayfair as a child trafficking hub as a legitimate concern in posts on his Twitter and Instagram accounts. With or without Wayfair, child trafficking is real and is happening, he wrote, with 3 exclamation points, might I add.
Oh, wow.
Adding in the attached video that law enforcement's gonna flush that out, and we'll get our answers sooner than later. But I want to tell you this: children are sold that way, is what he claims.
Okay.
So again, it's like this weird, like he's like using QAnon language.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm going to present them the facts, but like.
But you're not.
But you're not, and yeah.
Yeah. Also, like, the Wayfair. I forgot about the Wayfair
thing. The fucking Wayfair thing, dude.
Oh my god.
Actually crazy.
Well, it's like, I think that. Sorry to derail.
No, of course.
But I think that you and I have had this conversation many, many times where it's like, yeah, like sex trafficking is super real, and children do get sex trafficked. But like, it's not through Wayfair furniture, cheap, shitty furniture website.
Yeah.
And it's not through like, you come out of Target and there's a piece of cheese on your car or whatever. It's like, you typically, like, sometimes not minors, sometimes minors that are foreign and like come to the US and then they work at like the massage place down the street. I literally could drive down Main Street in SLC and point out like multiple places, multiple massage places that are 1,000% not drug trafficking, sex trafficking, have literally been busted for sex trafficking. But like that's not it's not a Wayfair. They're not like selling children inside of a cabinet on Wayfair. Like that's not how that works.
And like, and it's like in other countries, and a lot of times it happens where like a family can't support a child, so they sell the child for like, because again, they're like, I can't, this child's going to starve.
Exactly.
And so, and again, that's probably something that happens more in like other more impoverished nations, but it's not, like Phoebe was saying, it's Wayfair is not.
No.
Trafficking children.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating because it's like, it's happening. It's fully happening, but like not in this weird conspiracy QAnon way that you're like thinking or pretending or making up that it is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's just kind of the whole like conspiracy theory conservative gist of things is like they know that there's like something wrong, but it's too complicated, so it's just easier to be like, it's the elite. The elite have Wayfair in their pockets.
Right.
Like, when it's actually the billionaire fucking Jeffrey Epstein who has a plane called the Lolita Express.
Right. Yeah, it's like...
How did nobody know?
They don't want to, like, look too deeply into their own people, because that's they can't... It's, like, it's too much.
Yeah.
And so it's, like, easier to believe that Hillary Clinton is, like, sucking adrenochrome out of babies or something.
Because then you'd have to admit that, Donald Trump is a sex offender.
And, like, the whole system is fucked.
Yeah, geared to make people like that able to get away with stuff like that.
Exactly.
But Phoebe.
But Taylor.
I know you're wondering, do they help children at least?
I really fucking hope so.
And the answer is that maybe they kind of do.
Okay. We
don't know exactly what went down in a lot of countries that OUR claims to have helped out, but most feel that much of their work is performative. A good example comes...
I'm shocked.
Yeah. A good example comes from an operation that took place in 2014. Here's another quote from Wikipedia. Did I miss a Wikipedia quote? No, I just put another quote for some reason.
Great.
According to Foreign Policy, which is a publication, in 2014, after OUR's first operation in the Dominican Republic, a local organization called the National Council for Children and Adolescents, CONANI when abbreviated in Spanish, quickly discovered it did not have the capacity to handle the 26 girls rescued.
What?
They were released in less than a week.
I'm shocked.
So they sure got them out of wherever they were staying, and then they put them back on the streets of the Dominican Republic, and they probably ended up back there, to be honest.
Right. Great work.
So we were talking about Survivor Care earlier.
Yeah.
That's the top-notch service you can expect from OUR.
Great organization. Really, really good work done here.
And there's like similar cases of this. A lot of times there's like allegations or like kind of questions of like, did you just show up in like an African village and pretend you like liberated some kids, like
I mean, this is so classic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've talked about like missionary type work on the show before where it's like people will show up and like take pictures with African kids and be like, oh, we built a school, but like not really, and then like bail.
And then they just dip because they got their Instagram pictures.
Exactly. And then this like city, town, whatever in Africa is like, what now?
We have a huge school, but
like there's
nothing
zero
to
resources.
Yeah, it's
you built this building, I guess.
Yep. But I think that's kind of the big question here is like you can take kids out of these situations, but if you're just turning them back onto the streets, then how much of an impact are you truly making?
I would say zero.
I would say zero. Maybe that was like a one-time thing in 2014, but as I was saying, I have a feeling that it was more common than not.
Yeah.
it's great for headlines, but doesn't really address the systematic problems of a nation that has a large trafficking issue.
Right.
And again, I feel like you see it a lot with impoverished nations.
Right.
And again, a lot of times the trafficking problem is because people can't afford to have more children.
Right.
But they also can't get contraceptives and there's, I mean, the systemic issues go deep. But
right. Yeah. I mean, it's not like, to bounce off your example, it's like, it's not like these families are like, oh, I'm going to pimp out my kid. They're like, oh, I'm going to, these like adoption agencies that come through. They're like, cool, I can, give or sell this child to this adoption agency, quote unquote. And then the kid ends up in those sorts of situations.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm sure people lie. Like,
yeah. And like, it's not great that like these families are selling children. But again, I mean, this is a whole different world than where we live here. And like, your child is going to starve, or
and you're like, oh, they're going to an orphanage
perhaps
where
they might be able to get a better life and like at least
Yeah.
food in this other situation.
Yeah. On the OUR website, it does say that they supported 152 survivors in 2024 alone. But of course, gives no follow-up on that statistic of how.
Right.
Or like where that number comes from.
Yeah, and like what does that mean? What is your definition of support?
Yeah. In a 2021 follow-up article in Vice, they stated that the organization had come under scrutiny for a variety of things, some being using unexperienced donors and celebrities as the jump team being the folks who go in and extract the children, not verifying if the victims, quote unquote, they were saving were actual sex slaves or partaking in consensual sex work. I realize if the person is underage, of course, there is no consent.
Sure.
But in some cases, I'm sure the person was not underage. And again, if OUR isn't providing them with other services, they may be doing more harm than actually helping.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, again, an unfortunate reality is that there are a lot of underage kids who do have to end up doing sex work consensually because that's how they survive.
Right. Right. Consensually in the sense that, like, they are aware of what's going
what
on.
they're doing. And again, it's like, it's not good. It's not, it sucks that has to be the case, but again, if you're not providing them a place to live and services to help them get on their feet, you might just be hurting more than you're helping by taking them out of this.
Right.
Anyway, sorry. I know there's like a ton of caveats.
No, of course there is. And I mean, that's the reality of it.
Yeah. And there are reports that Ballard would consult a psychic for intelligence on multiple missions. So, which belief in psychics aside, I feel as though that's not the time to use a psychic.
No.
No.
Yeah, definitely not in. No. I just think in any like quote unquote like serious organization like this, I don't want to know that you're I don't want to hear, nor should you be consulting a psychic on like where to find sex trafficked children.
Because like if you want to go and like ask a psychic like what your life's gonna be like in 5 years, where you're gonna be married or have kids, like whatever. But like, it seems unprofessional. I don't know.
Yeah, and just like why?
Yeah. I don't know.
Interesting.
Another quote from Wikipedia here. Anne Gallagher, an expert on the international law on human trafficking, wrote in 2015 that OUR had an alarming lack of understanding about how sophisticated criminal trafficking networks must be approached and dismantled, and called the work of OUR arrogant, unethical, and illegal.
No way.
No way. They're bad?
They don't know what they're doing?
There was another controversy in June of 2022 where OUR and Ballard announced that they would be partnering with American Airlines to show a OUR video on their flights.
Oh, God.
This was quickly denied by American Airlines, and OUR claimed that it was a miscommunication with their advertising department because the deal hadn't actually gone through yet. Which I was like, maybe they didn't even actually have a deal. They were just like trying to do some like Twitter thing where they got American Airlines to like show a video or something.
Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe they were in talks, but I just thought it was silly. I was like,
yeah, that's very silly. And like, listen, I mean, I've definitely been in airports where there's like little, you know,
PSAs.
Yeah, like there's a sticker on the inside of a bathroom stall, that's like, I'm gonna paraphrase in such a crass way, but it's like, hey, if you're being sex trafficked, like, call this number, blah blah blah. I'm thinking, you know, hoping that like a victim is able to go to the bathroom by themselves. They see this and they go, oh shit, and then they call that number. That's great and all. I don't know that I think this like completely bogus fucking organization should like show like a pre-flight film about the bullshit work that they're doing.
It was like thanks. So strange.
God. And they're just like, no, American Airlines is totally going to do this. And American Airlines is like, no.
No, I don't think we're going to.
Actually not.
But this leads us to the meat of the controversy. Tim Ballard stepped down as CEO of the organization in the summer of 2023. However, nobody knows why, or knew why. In September of 2023, 2 former employees claimed in interviews with the FBI and Davis County Attorney's Office that the new head of OUR, Matt Osborne, told both of them that OUR does not do rescue missions anymore and hasn't for a while. This, of course, would be interesting considering that they still lead their donors to believe they do rescue missions consistently. Then later that month, on September 28th, several former employees and consultants filed a lawsuit against Tim Ballard, stating that they were subject to sexual harassment, spiritual manipulation, grooming, and sexual misconduct. Which I thought spiritual manipulation was a crazy... you got charged with spiritual manipulation, dude? Like,
honestly, I'm like, we should be using that one a little bit more.
Yeah, that's
because people be doing that.
Well, and I don't know. This was just like what it was written there. I don't know if they're talking like specifically like manipulating like some kind of godly type, you know, like using God as like a manipulation tactic, or
Divine
if it is like
type beat.
Or if it is like truly like emotional, spiritual like
manipulation. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not sure what they
either
meant
way.
by that.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Jesus, God, dude.
Here are some of the claims provided by ABC4 News. So I'm just kind of rip these bad boys off.
Hit us.
But feel free to jump in whenever you hear something absurd.
I'm sure it'll be 2 seconds.
5 women filed a lawsuit anonymously against Tim Ballard, OUR, and other affiliated organizations claiming Ballard is a sexual predator who allegedly manipulated and sexually assaulted them under the guise of fighting human trafficking.
Wow.
They claim the abuse took place through the undercover tool called the couple's ruse, where a woman would pretend to be Ballard's wife in order to prevent detection by pedophiles if he refused to engage in sexual activity with trafficked women. While this tool was a standard policy in OUR, the women filing the lawsuit say he used it to coerce them to engage in sexual activities with him by claiming it was necessary for the success of the mission. I see you have a question.
Yeah.
Why don't we let Tim Ballard explain?
Oh, fuck. Oh, no.
Let's see here.
Oh, God.
Very important undercover tactic that we use that involves female operators. Based on the allegations that are flying around and the questions being asked, we've decided to tell you these tactics. While I do so, I'm going to pay homage, respect, love, and gratitude for these female operators who serve such an important role in rescue operations. You need to understand that children don't just fall out of the sky. They don't fall into your desk. It's a very proactive work. So if I'm a man or one of my operators approached by a trafficker trying to put a child to service on that person, or a sex worker, and that man, that operator, doesn't partake of what's being offered, they lose credibility. And so we came up with a concept that we call the couple's ruse or the couple's tactic, where you go in together, pretending to be a husband or a wife or boyfriend, girlfriend. Now you go in and one of you could pretend that, yes, I want to partake in this sex act with this woman or this child, but I can't because my girlfriend won't let me, but maybe we can do it later. So is that cool? Like, let's keep talking and she'll warm up to it eventually. But the bottom line is we block for each other. So the trafficker sees the situation, recognizes that I have every excuse not to partake. Hundreds, maybe thousands of children have been rescued using this amazing tactic. As I've had these talks over the last several weeks with these amazing, heroic female operators, they want their voices heard. They want you to know what it's been like for them working with me and other operators. You, the supporters, it's time for you to look under the hood. And you can make your own decision.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, clearly they go in. He's like, hey, you don't gotta, hey, you want to fuck this sex worker? And
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're doing it Chris Hansen style, where they're like, they've basically like created a setup wherein which, you know, for simplification reasons, let's say like, this is what I'm gleaning from what he said anyway, where it's like, they've set it up where like, you know, the pimp or whatever is like, I have this situation for you, this person for you. Why don't you come over here and come partake?
Yeah.
And then Tim Ballard shows up to like, quote unquote, bust him. But he's like, well, if I don't participate, they're going to realize that I'm not about it. So I have this woman that's with me who's like, no, honey, I don't want you to do that.
Yes.
And he's like, it's okay, baby. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
That's what this is.
So it's like, yes, exactly. Like he walks up, he's like, I'm interested in your services.
Right.
And the guy's like, oh, you should do it. But he doesn't want to say no because then he's like suspicious. So then he's like, well, I got my wife and or girlfriend here, but I'll like meet up with you later and we can like talk about it.
I see. And then somehow they liberate the child.
Correct. And then from that process, they liberate children.
So that's the fakest thing I've ever heard.
It's not, I mean, it's not funny. It's awful, but like...
It's horrible. It's just so...
It's so absurd.
It's just such a blatant lie.
Yeah. It's
and
such a
then
weird...
And then he used that to just assault the women who were part of this organization as well.
Like his stand-in wife.
Right.
For
thinking that they were going to be helping victims of child sex. That's great. Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Oh.
It's every single time. It's every time they like, it's like, you know how like you'll have those serial killers that like join they're like, oh, this person is missing, we're gonna join the search or whatever. You know, they like have to put them, it's like, it's this. It's happening here where it's like, he's like, I'm going to fight sex trafficking and like sexual abuse. And then it's just like using that mechanism to just do that.
Truly. It's what it is.
So insane.
A second lawsuit was filed on behalf of a married couple. The lawsuit allegations are similar to the ones made in the first lawsuit. The lawsuit claimed Ballard's manipulation and grooming led to the breakup and damage of at least 2 marriages, and that OUR failed to warn the woman of the true allegations against Ballard. The documents, which are included in ABC4's original article, claim that they were threatened by a phone call that led the plaintiffs to contact the police. In the lawsuit, one plaintiff claimed that Ballard allegedly kissed her neck, lifted her shirt, and taught her how to have fake, in air quotes, sex as part of the training to work in an operation.
Okay.
Attorneys filed, and this is now the next kind of like section. Attorneys filed a motion on the second lawsuit with Celeste and Michael Boris, claiming, and that was after their names came out, claiming that the state crime lab told plaintiffs that Tim Ballard's DNA matched the semen found on Celeste Boris's skirt. The lawsuit alleges that Tim Ballard sexually assaulted her and ejaculated on her leather skirt, which he denies.
Well,
Tim Ballard's spokesperson said the motion is illegal and unethical as it taints the ongoing investigation.
what?
Which I don't think that would taint the ongoing
I think
investigation.
that's just called evidence.
I think that's just part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
At one point, the LDS Church denounces Tim Ballard, calling his actions morally unacceptable.
The LDS Church.
And man,
the LDS Church.
you really have to fuck up for the LDS Church to turn its back on you.
Yeah. As discussed earlier, they didn't leave the Boy Scouts after 80,000 people claimed, sexual abuse. They left because they were like, ew, you're going to let gay kids join?
Gross.
God, dude, they're always at the scene of the crime.
Choose the right, dude.
Oh.
Tim Ballard, of course, denies all accusation and posted, and this is where I was going to originally show the video, on his Instagram story to explain that the purpose of the couple's ruse is like what that was to his loyal followers. Now, to end my segment of the show, I wanted to talk about how much money Tim Ballard made being the head of this selfless, heroic organization.
Oh, no.
In 2022, Ballard brought in a salary of over $546,000, which, granted, isn't like multi-millionaire status.
It's a lot of money, though.
But it's $500,000 to do nothing, basically.
Exactly. To assault women and get away with it.
A court filing of the severance document. Also, as of December of 2022, OUR has more than 60 million assets.
Jesus.
A court filing of the severance document for Tim included the company paying him $618,000 and a 2019 Jeep Cherokee.
The douchiest car you could possibly.
And also, I feel like, yes, his salary might have been $546, but if the organization he runs has more than 60 million in assets, there's got to be more money coming in somewhere to him.
Exactly.
I don't believe that he's like selflessly like, I'm only going to take $500,000.
No.
Like, that's bullshit.
No.
No fucking way. They never do. Of course, these aren't, like I said, insane numbers compared to some other rich guys, but all this was on the back of what amounts to mostly lies and the sexual assault of multiple women.
Yeah.
The most recent updates are that Ballard has filed a defamation suit against his accusers, and the case is still ongoing.
Of course.
And that is the story of Tim Ballard.
Wow.
And it's just crazy because, like, I remember when the OUR stuff was, like, all the rage for the conservatives. And I remember I looked something up, and it was before any of this had come out. But I looked something up when my mom was talking about it, and I was like, they do, like, shady stuff with their money, and, like, they don't really know, like, if they actually help anybody. And like, just, like, looking into, and then, like, seeing all this come out, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow. Wow, the way I'm not shocked at all.
The way I'm not shocked and was also right. Ha.
Yeah.
Take that, Mom.
I remember when this like really was like popping off in 2020 because, there was, when I say a lot of pressure, I don't mean negatively. There was a lot of pressure to like, declare whether you were supporting Black Lives Matter or not, or to make some kind of statement as to like whether you thought that like Black people shouldn't just get shot by the police whenever they wanted.
Yeah.
And of course conservatives could not possibly just say that like it's wrong that Black people get shot by the police all the time for no reason. And so they were like, they felt this pressure to like attach themselves to a different like humanitarian cause, so to speak. And they were all rah behind OUR because they were like, it's like, we were saying earlier in your portion of the episode, like child sex trafficking is like pretty easy to support because like, yeah, that's pretty clearly morally wrong. And like, nobody's really going to argue with that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There's no like, there's no like with,
there's not like controversy around
exactly,
it.
Exactly. Like it's pretty like nobody's going to be like, wow, you think that child sex trafficking is wrong? Like,
Yeah.
you know, versus if you're like, oh, I think that, like,
The police have too many guns and
yeah, that's people are gonna really push back against that. So it's like an easy thing to support, to be like, no, see, like, I stand behind something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, it's just really the cherry on top that, like, the organization that they were supporting was, like, not only entirely bullshit, but also, like, just a ruse to, like, have this
Literally.
guy be able to do whatever he wanted to women.
It's crazy. And yeah. And I didn't look it up, but I feel like his wife didn't leave him, you know, like after all these allegations, because isn't that just like the Christian way?
I
of
mean,
being
yeah, that's
like,
a classic.
They're
move.
coming. It's a manhunt for my husband. Like,
Exactly.
It's just, I don't know. Like,
yeah, that is a classic move.
and yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I was dying at like the couples ruse thing.
Jesus,
like,
dude, that's so. Just him like struggling to explain that is like. You sound, like I said, I'm like, that's the fakest shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, you sound so full of shit
yeah,
right now.
you are. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Just pretend to be my wife, and we also have to pretend to have sex
Right.
so that we can
What?
really sell it.
What?
It's like the way you explained it. It sounded like you don't actually ever like do any sexual things. You just use it as an excuse to like get out of potentially having to commit a sex crime.
Right. Like, that's, yeah.
Like I don't know. He's it's wild, and like again, it's like child sex trafficking, very complex issue,
Yeah.
and
real,
real, and
but
should,
not like this.
should be something that people talk about with more nuance, because
Right.
like we were saying, it's like you could make things a lot worse for people when you're really trying to help if you don't have the right systems in order to support survivors of that afterwards. And
Yeah, and it's just like, it's just never what people, the conversation is not the conversation that people want to have, because they want to believe that, like, there's some guy coming after their daughter in a Target, when it's like, no, like, it's like mail order brides.
Yeah.
This is, you know,
or it's like
immigrants.
and again, like the thing is like a lot of the people were of age and are just like choosing to be
That's
sex workers.
The other thing too, yeah, it's like, yeah, a lot of the time, like, the sex trafficking that is happening is, yeah, it's not, I mean, there certainly it's happening to minors, absolutely, but yeah, I think like the bigger issue within sex trafficking is actually like people that are not minors, that are still like experiencing a really awful life within the sex trafficking situation, who, yeah, maybe sometimes do voluntarily choose, if you could, you know, if you could frame it that way, like, yeah, it's maybe not, it's like they're choosing because they maybe don't really necessarily have another choice, but they're aware of what's going on. They're aware, but it's just that they don't really have another situation to turn to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these are the conversations
know.
that people are not wanting to have.
Yeah, like talk about with
Because it is far more complex than OUR would like you to
Yeah.
believe.
because yeah, like I mean, like you were saying, it's just it's so beyond. I think specifically a lot of like, maybe it's a generalization, but like Christian housewives' comprehension that
Exactly.
like someone would need to do that, be in
Exactly.
a situation where they need to, or again in some situations like want to do that, like
Sure.
if they are of the age and like are of age and are choosing to be a sex worker
Right.
of their own volition,
Right.
and I think that that's like, again, they can't wrap their heads around it, so they're like, well, we have to do something, and like, I don't know.
It's also this thing where typically Christians, typically white women from like suburban areas feel this draw or this need to be victimized.
Always.
You know, I mean, it's like, we've talked about a little bit on the podcast, like this, the obsession with true crime and like the belief that like true crime is going to happen to them, which like, yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't. However, But like what I was saying, we were talking about earlier, where it's like you see the like Facebook post that it's like, I came out of Target and there was a piece of cheese on my car, and that means that I'm gonna get, or my child is gonna get sex trafficked or something. And it's like, you live in Draper. Like, this is not what's going on.
Yeah, I can promise you.
But like, they want to feel victimized for whatever reason. And they don't want to like actually look into the reality of it, which is that it's like typically immigrants, typically not white people or white children that this is happening to. And that's not interesting enough for you. So
true. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a whole like weird subculture of like, fear of, I don't even know what you would like, fear of abduction. And maybe true crime has made it worse. I don't know. I think true crime I kind of have beef with how like flippantly they talk about these stories.
I certainly
that's
do
like,
too.
I saw this meme the other day that was like, it had like sunshine and rainbows and like, you know, somebody like some girl doing her makeup, and it was like how true crime podcasters or like YouTube videos talk about like horrific deaths, and then it's like this super serious guy like standing with like dark lights all around him, and it's like how lost media YouTubers talk about a episode of SpongeBob that hasn't been seen in 20 years.
Right. It's so true. The like, get ready with me, and I'm also going to tell you about like this brutal, horrific murder. Like, what are we doing here?
What
are we
awful.
doing here?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like thing. The YouTube video essay guy is like, I have something really serious to talk about today, and it's like this episode of Jimmy Neutron that came out once and was deleted forever.
If you have a tape of this episode, get it to
please
this
contact
email.
at.
Yeah, we need to upload it for the world to have.
Right.
It's funny, but
God.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, that's
wrap her up.
That's OUR.
Wow, what a piece of shit.
Operation
What a pile of
Underground
garbage.
Jailhouse.
Yeah. God damn, dude.
So I think the verdict is in now. Religion's still mostly bad.
Yeah,
like,
still not feeling good about it.
Pretty bad for
still not a fan.
the most part. Yeah,
not a fan.
Not Cash Money. I don't know.
No.
But you know what is Cash Money? Our plugs.
Our stuff. You can follow our Instagram at Remarks Podcast.
Twitter.com at RemarksPod. Or X, the Everything app.
X, the Everything app. You can follow our Patreon. You can subscribe to our Patreon, which is, remarkspatreon.com. It's on there. And we've got lighter-hearted, funnier type beat stuff.
We'll probably be
on
recording a new one pretty soon.
Yeah, we gotta jump on that
here
real soon here. So yeah, that's gonna happen. If you want to follow my ex, you can follow me at Phoebes Elise. I'm funny on there sometimes.
Woo-hoo. I think you're funny.
Thanks.
My Instagram is TLACE_19. I think I finally figured out that it is TLace_19. And
I know. I love how
it like changes every time.
Never know. Like, they'll find you.
Yeah,
they'll find you.
And I have a new album out that you can listen to.
I was just gonna say, listen to Taylor's new album. It's really, really, really good. It's beautiful. Yeah, the production sounds great.
Thank you. Shane Bronson, he does great work.
Yep, shout out Shane.
But yeah, it's called Flowers. You can listen to it wherever fine songs are streamed. Yeah. I think that's it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Okay, love you. Bye.